Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Nicro ASMR. Back to hit you up with some juicy dreams. I know I've been away for a bit. My computer basically was busted for like a whole month. Shit happens, dude. But here we are. I got a good one for you guys. Alright, so this dream, it started out, I was walking through a forest with my grandma, my aunt, and my mom. Now, Mina from the K-pop group Twice, for some reason she was walking with us too. I'm like, oh, okay, it's my family and then Mina, cool. But she had a kid. Now she does not have a kid in real life, but she had this little boy that she was walking with. Now she looked like really depressed or something. She looked like she was sad. She was just walking through this, and it was like fall, you know, it's October, you know, it's spooky season. It looked all Halloweeny and stuff like that, but we're just walking through this forest. We were on our way to a church for a funeral. There was a funeral going on. I don't know who the fuck died, but we were on our way to a funeral. But anyway, she was feeling all down and stuff. She's walking with her kid, and the kid looks at me, and he's like, my nose is itchy. He's like, my nose is itchy. I'm just like, and you know, when you're talking to kids, you want to be all like cheerful and like you want to be like playful and stuff like that, right? So I was like, oh buddy, one time I had an itchy nose, so I itched it really, really, really hard until it wasn't itchy anymore. I don't know why the fuck I said that, but like I thought it was clever, or I thought it was like cute or something. I don't know, that's just what I said. And he looked at me and he like chuckled a little bit, and then Mina looked at me with like this like smirk, like this little smile. It was like this cute smile. She kind of looked at me, and we all just like looked at each other, and we're like it was like this cute moment. It's weird. It felt like a family like bond or some shit. Like I'm not the fucking dad. Like, because she looked all depressed before. Like, I don't know if she went through a breakup, because she wasn't even with, like, she didn't have a husband, she didn't have a boyfriend with her. It was just her and the kid. So it's like, I don't know, is she mad or she sad because someone left her? I don't know. Like, I felt like I was the dad. I wasn't, but like, it almost felt like some weird, you know, family bond shit over the kid's little itchy nose. Cool. Anyway, we keep walking through this forest, and then we come up to the church. Now, this is where the funeral is being held. So we walk in the church, but when you go through the front doors, it turned into just like a basic bedroom. Like, it was just a small, like something like the size of my bedroom. And it turned into like this nerd club. Like, a lot of like people were just in there. Like, there's people talking about like anime. There's nerds like talking about games and just like random shit. Like, it just, and there was this one girl who looked like Wendy, like the Wendy's logo. I don't know, she had like red hair and like pigtails or whatever the fuck they're called. And this bitch had like these crazy mood swings. Like, like at one point, so I was trying to explain to her how to play. She was asking me, does anybody know how to play Super Nintendo games on my computer? And I was like, oh yeah, I know all about that. I can show you how to set up an emulator. I can show you how to hook up your controller. And then she just kept looking at me, and she's like, like, she would look away. Like I'd look at her and I'd tell her, I'm like, yeah, I can help you. And she's like, I'm like, the fuck? And I asked everybody in the room, and they're like, oh yeah, she's known for her mood swings. Apparently she just had these like mood swings. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm helping you out, but like, you don't want my advice, just and then she freaked out. Like, she just started flipping shit. She was like throwing things. She's like stomping the ground. Her fucking parents had to come in and like calm her down, because she was having like a psycho like freak out. And we're all just like, what the fuck? Like, I was nothing but nice, nothing but, you know, I just wanted to help her. But you know what, fuck you, whatever, you can freak out. Guess we're not playing Super Nintendo. So that happened, and then all of a sudden the whole room turned into like this gorgeous like Disney museum. Now, I don't really know shit about Disney, honestly. Like, I didn't grow up watching the Disney movie, but I have this like idea in my head of like Disney princesses. Anyway, it looked really expensive, like millions of dollars, like everything it was all diamond finish and like all this like beautiful like jewelry and shit. And there was these different like stands for like, so basically the display, how it looked was you look into this like little peephole, and then it opened in the little peephole. It's like a 3D image of like Disney movies or something, but it was live action. Like there was actual like actor. Like if you looked in the peephole, it was like actual people like, you know, playing out a scene or something, right? Now in this museum, because it was like real people and like it was like the legit like princesses from Disney or whatever the fuck. Apparently, if you're stealthy enough and you look in the hole at the perfect time, apparently you can hear never before heard lines from like a Disney movie or something, but only if you were stealthy, only if you were like really good at it. So I tried to get in there and I looked in the peephole, and like, yeah, there were Disney princesses, but they had like anime eyes. Like they were like anime characters, but they had these like beautiful dresses on and shit. I don't know, it was fucked. So I was like, ooh, maybe I can be the one to find out the never before heard lines, and I could tell the world. Oh, because you know, apparently up to this point, nobody has ever heard of these lines from the movie. So this is your chance. So I look in the hole, and then right away, all the princesses look up at me, and they're like, like they look so disgusted at me, and I just like take my head out of there, and I'm just like, okay, fuck this. Like, it was just like really uncomfortable. They definitely looked like they didn't want to be like spied on or some shit, because apparently they were like gossiping a lot, like, ooh, this, like, you know, whatever, gossipy shit. So I was like, fuck it. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention, I met Mina on Omegle before we started walking through the forest. I don't think I mentioned that. Apparently I met her on Omegle. Weird. Anyway, so again, we came here for this funeral at this church. So again, I walked here with my mom, my aunt, my grandma as well, and they all come in the room where I was at that little museum part, and they're like, oh, mass is starting. So then the room turns into like mass. Like I'm in this like waiting room, and then mass is in the next room. Now, I grew up in a Catholic school. I mean, I grew up like going to church. I don't know if you guys know what communion is, but you know, you basically at church, you walk up and you have your hands out like this, and the priest like blesses you or some shit, and he gives you a little piece of bread. They're pretty tasty, actually, kind of low key. But then in the dream, so my mom's like, Nick, come on, it's mass, or it's communion time. They called for communion, and communion. So we get in line for communion, and I had my hands out about to like go up to communion, and then it just hit me like a truck. I was like, what the fuck? Like, communion is like kind of stupid. Like, I mean, I was just trying to be like real with myself. It's like, I'm standing here with my hands. I look like I'm begging for like something. Oh, like the priest, oh, give me my bread. Like, I don't know. It just, in the dream, nothing made sense to me. I mean, it still doesn't really make sense now that I think about it. But like in the dream especially, I was just like so like baffled by communion. Like, what the fuck is a communion? Like, oh yeah, I have my bread, and then I don't. And dude, they're like these little like circles of bread. It's supposed to be like the body of Christ or something, but it's like, it's just some shitty cardboard tasting cutout cookie. It just looks like, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the fuck it meant, but it was just weird. Something about communion that day just hit a little different, you know? Know what I'm saying? And then, so yeah, I'm about to get my communion. I'm next up, and then as I'm about to get it, I realized, wait, there's no priest. Like, again, the priest usually gives you the communion, but instead of there being a priest who hands it to you, there was a giant, like, silver salad bowl. Like, it was a salad bowl where you pick your own communion. So, like, okay, and this is the fucked part. It wasn't just a big bowl of, like, communion bread, right? It was like, it was disgusting. Like, there was mashed potatoes and, like, fucking leftover food and, like, salad. It was gross. But on top of all this leftover food, it's almost like it was a dirty dish that they didn't even clean, and they just threw all the communion in there. Like, oh yeah, just grab this. It's like, so all the communion, they were all, like, wet and, like, soggy because they were touching the potatoes. So we were, like, picked them out and shit, and I was like, whatever, fuck it. I mean, it still tasted okay, I guess. And then I walk away, and, you know, I'm done my communion, okay, cool. And then, okay, when you're at church, there's only one communion, right? But for some reason, they called for a second communion. Like, 2 communions in one. That's I was like, okay, I'll eat more bread, whatever. It's kind of hype. Gets me off my ass, whatever. Church is kind of fucking boring. So I guess I'll go up for another communion. My mom's like, Nick, come on, there's another communion. And I was the last person in line, and there was one more communion left. Just one more little piece. I love how I keep calling it communion. Do you call that communion or just the bread? Like, is the bread itself the communion, or is the act of what you're doing called the communion? I don't fucking know. Anyway, I'm last in line, and I'm about to grab the communion. Now, again, remember, this is a funeral. So usually when there's a funeral, there's, like, mass before the funeral. However, at this funeral, the mass was happening at the same time as the funeral. So, like, the person who died, which I didn't even know. I never even found out whose funeral it was for. But whoever died, their casket was right in front of the salad bowl where we were grabbing our communion. And I picked the very last communion, and yeah, it was disgusting. It was all soggy and shit, and I was, like, about to eat it, but I'm like, I don't know. And then the bitch wakes up from her casket. It's like some old bitch, the one who's supposed to be dead. She wakes up, and she's like, put that back. That's the last one. And everybody looked at me all with, like, a dirty look, as if I was, like, being a thief. Like, I'm grabbing the last communion. Ooh. It's like, I don't know, my mom told me to fucking grab this, and they're like, put that back. That's the last one. No more communion for you. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck off. Like, fuck you, dude. Take your shitty little sog. I flicked it just back in the salad bowl. This shitty communion. Get your fucking communion out of here. Yeah. That was that. Like, I just threw the communion back in the bowl, and, like, that's all I can remember, boys. So, I really hope you enjoyed that one. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking right now. Did I miss anything? I hope not. Anyway, that was a fun dream. I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that very much. So yeah, I'm back. Thank you for watching. More juicy dreams on the way. You know how it is. As always, stay cute, stay wonderful, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. How about that?